There's something so relaxing about this candle, you guys. This is a Buddy Cake candle from Yankee Candle. It's honestly so relaxing to just smell, like, without it even burning. I don't know what it is. I keep this in my bedroom, and it's so relaxing. I was going to burn it, but honestly, just, like, sniffing it kind of just calms me and relaxes me. It smells really good. I know that probably seemed like an ad for a Yankee Candle or something. It's not sponsored. I just really enjoyed the smell of this and thought I would share it with you guys. Okay. So, my hair. Okay. I don't even know what's my hair doing. Okay. Okay, so today I wanted to do this video. When I think of stuff to talk about or videos to do, I make like a list of, I kind of just make like notes, and I kind of just go up the notes and be like, okay, let's turn that into a video, or let's make this a video, let's talk about this or something. And this one kind of wasn't really on that same level. It was more of, I have a second channel, my vlogging channel, Trisha's Life, and on that channel it's very much stream of consciousness, meaning like if I'm in the car, whatever I'm rambling about is what I'm thinking about at that moment, or something spawns from something. And this wasn't even something I was bringing up, it was something because my camera moves in my car because I don't have like a sticky pad for it. I kind of just set it up on my dashboard and sometimes it slides. And I always joke that there was like a ghost in my car. and then from that, I was starting to think, I started to talk about actually my ex-boyfriend, dead boyfriend, I don't know how you would classify it at this point, Brian, and I was talking about him on that channel, and I kind of got into it. It's actually like a 10-minute car vlog of me talking about him. And I thought it was weird for me to talk about, and I was leaving stuff out because I'm like, is this weird? Is this too much? So I'm playing with this candle. Is this too much? Is it too weird? Am I leaving too much? Am I saying too much? Is this disrespectful? Is it you know, morbid? Is it something nobody wants to hear about? Is it too depressing? Is it not something I should be sharing? So a lot of that was going through, and at the end of the day when I was thinking about this, because ever since then, and actually before that, like about a couple weeks before, I was feeling my ex-boyfriend Brian, like, I don't know how to say this because it's not, sorry if the lighting got switched or the angle's a little off. I had to take a minute to answer a phone call. Family comes first. So it worked out okay anyways, because I was just about to start the story and I'm in a little bit of a better headspace, I think, to tell the story than I was when I sat down to talk about it about an hour ago. If you read my book, The History of My Insanity, I had touched on Brian a little bit in the book, and so I thought I would just share my story with you, because it's such a touchy subject that it's kind of one of those things where it's not really my story to tell, because I didn't self-harm and I didn't kill myself, but at the same time, people who've committed suicide and gone through with it, obviously, and that's not a laugh, like a mocking laugh, like, it's just uncomfortable for me. So if I'm smiling or like doing that kind of laugh, it's just an uncomfortable subject for me, because if you obviously kill yourself, you can't share with people what you were going through and what you could have done differently. And I don't know, I guess the point of all this, here I am again just speaking over my tongue, the point of all this is I wanted to share this story with you to maybe help people who have lost someone to suicide or going through this, or maybe it can help you from not doing it if you're thinking about suicide, or helping someone, sharing this to someone who you may be concerned with, dealing with depression or dealing with any of this stuff. Suicide is something that is just really hard to get through, because it's something that could be avoided. It's very unnecessary. It's all self-induced and it sucks, because a lot of times people just need help, and I don't know. Anyways, so I'm going to just share my little story with you. My best friend actually in the whole world, his brother also committed suicide, and so I think that's one thing we've always kind of like bonded over with this in a way, because unless you dealt with the pain, which I don't wish on anybody, then, you know, you don't really understand. And to be honest, it still makes me feel numb when I think about it. And so I haven't really thought about him in so long. And I included him in my life story because he was a big part of my life when I first moved to LA. He was my first friend here, my first boyfriend, my first everything here. And so I had to include him in my life story. And I thought about him. Sorry, I'm playing with this candle. I thought about him during that, and it was really hard. And I tried to brush it aside. And in the ghost vlog, the car vlog where I was talking about him, I've just been thinking about him a lot lately, just in the past couple months, because of, you know, I did a Hot for Teacher song, Van Halen, and he was really into rock. He was Alice Cooper's personal assistant for, I want to say like 25 years, maybe 30. He was his assistant for a long time and had connections with everybody in rock and roll and in Hollywood and all that kind of stuff like that. And he was just a really fascinating guy. And before I go into the story, there's no disrespect to his family or anything like that. There's none of that. No disrespect to Brian. Brian was a great person. Brian was a great friend for me. And yeah, I loved him. You know, I said this in my other vlog too. You know, I'll get into it. I really loved him. And if I knew what love was at all, he would be one of the only people that I felt love with. And reciprocated, the reciprocated love. So I'm going to put this candle down so I stop fussing with it. I have a bunch of little things around me to fuss with, but I'm not going to. So, okay. So this is just kind of my story, and I'm just sharing it again. I don't know if there's really even like a point or purpose to this, or if this is a touchy subject for people and you don't want to watch it, then you don't have to watch it. But okay, so I will start at the beginning, basically. So I moved out to LA when I was 18, a few months after my high school graduation. I had the summer after high school off, and then I went to college for about 4 weeks, and then I quit before moving to Hollywood. And I moved to Hollywood by myself. At the time I wasn't talking to my dad because I quit college, and my dad took away my car, my credit card, my computer. He took away everything from me, so I had to start basically over, which is fine because that was his, and okay, that's fine. He didn't support me, so I was going to start all over. So I'm reaching for that candle. So I started all over, and I, you know, got an apartment, a really shitty studio apartment in Hollywood, and I was big onto MySpace. I really loved MySpace. I used it all the time, and I kind of made sort of a name for myself. I think within the first couple months of MySpace, this was my first social media ever, I had about 20,000 followers, and it was a pretty big deal to me. And so I was just randomly adding everybody at that point because you know, you could add people and those would be your friends. So if you just like randomly added people, you were getting more friends, which I guess doesn't really matter, but made you seem cool because you had a lot of friends. So I was randomly adding people, and I had met the first guy I lost my virginity to off MySpace, and he was a quote-unquote celebrity. I would look up celebrities or people on TV that I admired or, you know, wanted to meet or something. I thought, okay, MySpace is kind of cool because a lot of them were on MySpace. It was a big thing. They had a whole celebrity section on MySpace to see all the like verified celebrities on there. So I was adding all them and all that stuff like that. I met a few through there. It was fun. It was cool. You could talk to them through there. It was a really cool thing for me because I was from the Midwest and, you know, moving to LA, this is what I wanted. I wanted to network with famous people and all that stuff. So I was randomly adding people, and Alice Cooper was one of the people that I added, and Alice Cooper had like 3 million friends. And I don't know if you could automatically add people at that time, but his assistant Brian would be the one that has to go through, select all. You could add 10 people at a time and add people. And so he was adding people, and he saw my picture. I had one of those long pictures, so MySpace you could have like little pictures or long pictures, and the long pictures really stood out because, you know, you had a bigger like profile when you added people as a friend. And I was my sexy little booty shorts, and I was like this in the picture, and my like butt was hanging out on the side. It was like, anyways, I was 18, and I got a message from Alice Cooper, and I was so excited because I got a private message from Alice Cooper, and he was commenting on my photos, and people were saying like, oh my god, that's like the real Alice Cooper commenting on your pictures. I was like, oh my god, this is so weird. Is Alice Cooper hitting on me? Like, not knowing anything about Alice Cooper's like life relationships or wife or any of that stuff like that. Like, oh my god, is he hitting on me? Because I didn't know. But then I got the message, I opened it up, and it said, hey, this is Alice Cooper's personal assistant, Brian Nelson. I've been his assistant for a while. You can look me up, like total verify me. Like, I don't usually message people, but your profile picture just caught my attention, and you're beautiful, and just wanted to tell you that sort of thing. And he was really nice. Didn't ask for nudes. Didn't ask to hang out or go out or anything. And then I was the one who was very forward. Then I was kind of I guess maybe initiated, I guess. the flirtation. And so I admit this, when I was 18, you know, I was very much a user. Anyone who I thought could help me in life or get me to meet certain people, I wanted to know and, you know, use. So MySpace was a big thing where you could, if you took a picture with a celebrity, it would get you lots of likes and comments and all that stuff like that. And so I just was trying to build up my portfolio of celebrity photos just to seem cool, I guess. I don't know. This is what you think about when you're 18. I should also preface that all of this, when I was 18 at the time, I was not proud of any of this, like about using people or wanting to get pictures with celebrities. It's not like it's a cool thing. It's cool to me at 18 coming from the Midwest, but anyways. So I kind of was like flirting with Brian a little bit to hopefully befriend him and then get to meet Alice Cooper, because I wasn't the world's biggest Alice Cooper fan, but he had a lot of friends, and I felt like if I had the profile picture of Alice Cooper, it gave me some credibility back home. And so I was like, okay, like, let's just befriend him. And like, I had no idea what he looked like. I googled him, and there's very few pictures of Brian online, very few. Brian did not like his picture taken at all. Like, he hated his picture taken. So there's very, very few online of him, and if they are from a very long time ago, like in the 90s. So really there wasn't many pictures of him at all. I at the time, I don't think there was any, because I definitely did not know what he looked like at all. And then anyway, so I was kind of flirting with him, and then it ended up being like we talked on the phone, and then and I was lonely. I had no friends in Hollywood. I did not know anyone. The guy I lost my virginity to was definitely not a friend of mine. Like, we hung out twice, and that was it, and I had no friends. I was really lonely. I wasn't talking to my dad. And I was just trying to make it in Hollywood and trying to get some sort of like bone thrown my way, just some sort of money or something. And so, anyways, we talked on the phone, and long story short, you know, we ended up going out. We went to Hamburger Hamlet in Sherman Oaks, which I don't think it's there anymore, but we went to Hamburger Hamlet. Well, we first tried to go to Cheesecake Factory of the Grove, and it was too crowded, and then we went to Hamburger Hamlet, and I was so nervous. And I think it was like my first kind of like real date, I guess. I was so nervous, but Brian was so sweet. He brought me flowers. He brought me a whole Alice Cooper gift bag full of like towels that Alice Cooper wiped his makeup off with. Like, he was so, so sweet to me. He opened doors for me. He, you know, he'd ask me what I wanted, and then he would order for me. We got dessert at 7-Eleven and like ice cream, and brought it back to his house, and we kissed that night. We had a kiss at midnight. We were eating ice cream, and he put ice cream in my mouth as our first kiss. And you know, he wasn't my type initially, like physical attraction. He wasn't really my type. And you know what, to be honest, at that point, after that first date of him bringing me the flowers and the gifts and being really thoughtful and letting me order what I wanted and getting me ice cream, I just knew he was someone that was going to be like a really good friend to me, because he was, I don't know, you can kind of just sense, I kind of didn't really care about meeting Alice Cooper anymore at that point. I was just more of like, he's just a good guy, and I could tell, and I just wanted a good guy in my life. So anyways, again, kind of speeding up, long story short again, because I don't want this to be forever, because there's more to it, but you know, we started dating, and you know, as far as I knew, and you know, there may be other girls out there who've like dated him seriously, but as far as I knew, he told me he never had like a serious girlfriend, and he was 47 at the time I met him, I think, because he was just about to turn 50 right before he died, and I think he was about 47 when I met him. And I don't think he ever had a serious girlfriend. You know, he was never engaged, never had kids. You know, was living in the same apartment for, I think he said 20 years. It was like rent control. He was paying $400 at the Archstone in Studio City. Just, you know, that was, you know, that he was just, you know, routine. Just didn't really have a serious girlfriend. Was on tour with Alice Cooper for 25 years, all that stuff like that. So we dated, and he was this was like the fall of 2006. So after my high school, we started dating, and then through 2007, and then right before they were going on tour again, I believe, yeah, on tour again. So while he was away on tour, I was dating other people, because again, being 18 and young and naive, I just thought you could date other people. I thought that was okay, because we never said, you know, it's just us. Like, we never had that talk, even though I guess maybe you just assume that after, I don't know, in adult relationships, I guess you just assume that you're monogamous. I don't know. I still don't have a grasp on relationships. I don't know. So I was seeing other people and posting it on MySpace, like guess because I didn't think it was wrong, that's why I was posting. I think if I had an inkling that maybe that wasn't right or wasn't okay, I wouldn't probably have posted it on social media. But I was seeing other guys, I was dating other guys, and and I was posting it and saying, you know, like doing kissing pictures. That was a thing at the time in 2006 when I was 18, and 2007, like making out with each other, and, you know, going to events with, you know, people that I met, and I think it kind of hurt his feelings, but Brian would never like talk really about his feelings that much. And so anyways, it kind of ended up being a thing where he said that, you know, he didn't want to be dating me if I can't just be with him. And at the time I didn't want to be with him, and you know, we had told each other we loved each other, which I loved him. I wasn't in love with him. I loved him for everything because he helped me so much with my camera, from my digital camera that I used to record my first YouTube videos with, that recorded 60 seconds long. He got me that. Any like auditions, any sort of like hookup he could do. I remember I auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance, even though I'm not a dancer. What was I even thinking? I don't know. I was like, I want to be on So You Think You Can Dance. He got me an audition where I didn't have to wait in line. Like, he was very helpful. Like, anything I wanted, he got done. He knew I needed money. He would, you know, be like, oh, come house sit my house for me while I'm gone. And I would stay at his house for a month at a time while he was away. And he'd give me, you know, $5,000 for the month to stay at his place, even though he didn't really need it, you know what I mean? So he was very, like, kind and very selfless that way, and very giving. I have my hair removed. So we kind of stopped dating. I didn't want to have sex with him anymore because I was kind of seeing this other guy who was, you know, well known, and I was very starstruck by, and, you know, it was glitz and glamour, and people knew him, and I really was into him. So I kind of pushed Brian to the side and just was like, hey, like kind of drug him along, sort of thing, like, okay, you're there, email. We always emailed. We were always kind of you know, emailed each other. You know, he got me into dancing, and all that stuff like that, but dancing got me into drugs. So did my boyfriends at the time and stuff, and I was wasting money on drugs and using and all this stuff. And so anyways, again, I kind of hit rock bottom, and around 2000, oh god, these years, this is always like a time frame warp for me. So it was around Christmas time. I want to say either 2007 or 2008. Maybe 2007 when I ended up going to the hospital. I've talked about this in my book too, and I've talked about it before. We ended up going to the hospital, and my dad kind of like rescuing me, sort of, and I lived with my dad for a couple months, well, about 6 months, and was kind of going back to school and stuff. But I really was itching to get back to LA, so I contacted Brian again, and I, you know, wanted to date. I was desperate, and I was grabbing, and I said, I want to be with you, and, you know, he's like, you're just too young and too immature, like, I can't. He wasn't seeing anyone else, and he's just like, I can't, you know, I can't. You're just too immature, too young. So, but he would still help me out. So we were back to being friends, like where I'd be like, can you help me with this? And I'd have him try to come over. I'm like, can you come over and help me with this? And he'd help me. So anything I needed, he was still like there for. We talked. I was so lonely at my dad's house. I would talk to him for like 7 hours via email and phone, every single night. And he, again, became a really good friend. And, but I really wanted to date him more. Anyways, the whole year of 2008, we were very, very close friends. Blurred lines kind of friends, sort of thing, if you will. And, so with Brian, he was a depressed guy, and that was kind of his shtick. He was always like, oh, you're fucked, I'm fucked, we're both fucked in life, like, and he would talk about, like, I'll be dead by then. Like, if I said something like, oh, you know, when I'm 21 or something, he's like, well, I'm going to be dead by then. And he would say that a lot, or say, if I make it that long, if I'm still alive, that kind of stuff. And, you know, it was always something I don't think I laughed off, but I never thought he wowould be serious about it, sort of thing. And I'd always be like, don't say that. I hate that when you say that. I'd always tell him that because I was like, it just drove me nuts. I said, don't say that. And then 2009, we started back dating, sort of, I guess you would say. Probably not like it was the first time where he was, you know, overtly attentive to me, but I will say this, and I say this in a very non-narcissistic way. It sounds narcissistic, but it's just what it was. I mean, I could feel his love for me, that he was really in love with me. And I can honestly say, ever since him, I really haven't felt that from a guy, which is kind of sad, and I kind of feel like I I wish I could go back in time, you know, and tell 18-year-old Trish to be like, look, this is one of the good guys. Like, don't push him away because this guy truly is in love with you, would do anything for you, would never cheat on you, that sort of thing. And I could feel that from him our whole friendship. And in 2009, we were back on that on that route. And I, you know, again, I was stripping. I had a couple sugar daddies at the time, and I just, you know, I just wanted so bad to be with him, to have him take care of me. But at the same time, I was holding out for that bigger, better deal because I still was only 20. I hadn't turned 21 yet, and I was still waiting for something better. Knowing now, looking back, there really wasn't anyone better. I just think it was definitely a wrong time sort of thing. I was too young, too naive, too new to everything, thinking, you know, the grass is always greener sort of thing, and I didn't want to, you know, marry and have kids with the first guy, you know, that treated me nice out here. Be known that I'm probably the only one who will treat me nice, you know, Brian. So we were like dating again, but like again, I wasn't ready to full on commit. He had just bought a house in Chatsworth, I think around 2008, 2009, I think it was. I don't know, something like that. Like, no, it was definitely 2008, before 2009. He had bought a house, and, you know, he's like, I would love to have a wife, move in, and all that stuff like that. And, of course, all hinting towards it, towards me, you know, moving in and marrying him and all that stuff like that. I just said no. Like, I said no, like, sorry. And again, kind of stringing him along, and I think he kind of felt it. And he kind of felt it then around March 2009. March 2009, I got the Eminem video, and it was a huge deal for me because I had never gotten anything mainstream like this. And I had booked the Eminem video for We Made You, and I played Jessica Simpson in it, and I thought it was going to be my big break. I said, oh my gosh, I'm working on a huge music video. It's so popular. I was getting so many friend requests on MySpace, so much love from my celebrity friends. I'm like, oh my god, Trish, this is amazing. Like, you're doing great. Like, we need to work together. Like, really great acknowledgement. And at that point, I thought, this is it. This is my big break. I'm going to be a big star. Like, don't need Brian anymore sort of thing. Being like, you know, because at this time, you know, other people who were well known were coming to me and wanting to like take me out and stuff, and I just wasn't making time for Brian. I'm never one of those people who like dump somebody. I'm never like, oh, we're done, like I can't see you anymore. I brush them off and keep ignoring until they kind of get the hint. So that's kind of what I did with Brian. I kind of kept brushing him off and ignoring him so he would get the hint. There's quite a few stories I did not share in between this time span, which I feel like would solidify our friendship a little more if you guys knew. Again, something kind of more out of respect for him and his family, and even me and my family. There's stuff that I don't say everything. I think I hint at a lot of things and like refer to a lot of things, but there's also a lot of things that I'd rather not say, just because it's not just my story. These are my feelings and my emotions and what I felt, but it's not just my story or my life. That's his life, and maybe he didn't say a lot of things that he did in his life because he was not that close with his family, from as far as I could tell from what he told me. I know he had a sister and a mom back in Buffalo, New York, but you know, I don't think he was like, anyways, but throughout the years, let's just say he saved my life on more than one occasion, and I saved his life on more than one occasion, and in the very literal term of that, you know what I mean? I think we were both self-destructive towards ourselves and to each other, and then I think at the same time we were so like loving, like, you know what I mean? It's a really crazy, we had a really crazy friendship, but relationship, whatever you want to call it. But we were, Brian never did drugs when I knew him. He never did drugs and despised me doing them. And so we got into crazy fights. He saved me, like I said, on so many occasions, when just from people breaking into my house and coming in to, you know, get drugs, get money, you know, beating me up. I would call him. I said, you know, they're here, they're coming for me, and he would calm himself and take care of it. And, you know, it's a time in my life that is very blurry, but I remember it. It's very like, it doesn't seem like my life. I'll put it that way. I always think of myself as a good girl my whole life. And I was like, I'm a good girl. I'm a good girl. I don't do bad things. Even though I did a lot of bad things, I always thought of myself as a good girl, just being corrupted by other people. But Brian would take care of things for me. And I put him in situations that I should not have put him in. He took the blame for me on more than one occasion in a legal sense. And he was someone who always had my back. Even if we weren't talking, even if we were just friends, even if I treated him poorly, if I said I need you right now, he would be there right then. And I know when he would be away in different countries, if I was hurting, he would offer to fly me to where he was, or he would offer me his house to stay, or he would send someone over to come get me and give me his car. And he had a PT Cruiser and lent me his car and made car payments for me. And he was just someone who was like my dad, my brother, my best friend, you know, and he just was a really amazing guy. And this was all very hindsight. I knew he was a good person when I met him. From our first date, I knew he was an amazing, amazing person. And being from the Midwest, I just thought everyone had good intentions in their heart. I just thought everybody was going to love me and want the best for me. I was like, that's just, I'm a good person. Everyone's going to just love me and look out for my best interest. That's what good people get. And that wasn't the case. So anyways, oh my God, this is like turning it along. I was just trying to give you guys a little background. I feel like I missed out a lot of things or maybe skipped over things too quickly. But in 2009, summer of 2009, okay, give me 1 second. In summer of 2009, the week leading up to his death, I was emailing with him. And pleading with him at this point because after the Eminem video, I was ignoring him. And around my birthday, you know, right before my birthday and stuff, I said, you know, I was still stringing him along. And up to a week before he died, he killed himself, he sent me emails and said, you know, he loves me, and said, you know, hope you enjoy your life. You're never going to hear from me again. And then I would write back in my snarky way and be like, you're being so dramatic. And he's like, well, and I said something about like, oh, well, in a couple weeks you should come and like, you know, I don't know, I was going to have a party or something, or I don't know, some sort of dinner. I said you should come. He's like, I'll be dead by then. I said, Brian, don't say that. And a couple of days before he died, we had sent emails back and forth for days. Just, it was literally from like 10 o'clock at night to like 10 o'clock the next night, you know, just emails all day, like all days, just going through. And he was emailing me, and then finally, you know, he kept saying stuff like he was gonna kill himself, and I just said, I just stopped responding, because I would tell him to stop saying stuff like that, and then he was like, oh, it's over now or something. And like, and there was a face he sent with the 2 X's as the eyes, and I would send like a smiley face, and then he would send them with like the eyes like bled out. And just different forms of graphic death kind of things. Like, I wouldn't say graphic or like unsettling. It was more like cartoon versions of like guns or rat poison or something. So I kind of ignored it. And then a couple weeks came by where I was gonna have my get together, and emailed him and nothing. And you know, I went on the MySpace of Alice Cooper, and you know, just because you could see when they were last logged on, and he hadn't logged on in like a week. And it wasn't like Brian did not respond to me. Anytime I emailed him, even if we weren't talking or in a fight, he would always pretty much respond. Always, I would say. And then there was a blog post that went up saying that he passed away. And I remember being like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was in a state of shock. I think even people who say they're going to kill themselves or they're going to be dead soon, he had said that for the 3 years or 4 years that I knew him. And you don't ever think anyone's going to actually do it. Because you think if they say it, they probably want attention. Or if they were going to do it, they'd already do it. That's what people say. If they were going to do it, they'd already do it. And I was completely numb and completely shocked. I cried. I bawled. And I remember calling my best friend whose brother had killed himself. And just bawling. I bawled. I don't think I've ever cried that long in a row. I cried probably a good 4 days in a row. I could not stop crying. I would think about it and I would get like, I would get really, really, really angry and really just like uncomfortable. And I think, and then you think, I know, I thought it was like, was it something I did? Could I have said something to him? Could I have said something to somebody? Maybe. Could I have reached out to anyone? I knew some of his mutual friends or some of his friends, I would say. I wouldn't say they were mutual friends. I knew some of his friends just from being introduced or, you know, online or wherever, just knowing his friends. Even the people he was on tour with, you know. I'd met Alice Cooper a couple times, obviously, through Brian. He had, you know, taken me up to Vegas once when he performed at New Orleans and in Michigan. And, where else? I guess those were the main ones. So I knew other people that were on tour with him. Again, not Alice Cooper, but I knew ways to get a hold of other people that were on tour with him. And my heart sank so much. And a couple weeks later, I was contacted because I was someone he was in contact with. And I just remember getting asked a million questions and just thinking like, just feeling that guilt. Like, why are they asking me these questions? I had something to do with this. This is my fault. And that's immediately what I thought after his death and all these questions coming to me. Like, this is my fault. This is it. And this other guy who's an Alice Cooper collector had reached out to me asking me 1,000,001 questions too, being like, just really personal, evasive questions. It kind of felt like a guilt where you wouldn't feel it unless you were supposed to be guilty. I hope this makes sense. I feel like this is kind of all over the place. You know, I wanted to share this story because after years and years of therapy, I realized that Brian's death was not my fault. His suicide was not my fault. The guilt I felt was the guilt within myself for being a terrible person, for being a bad friend. And even though I was a bad friend and I used him at times, I was still not liable for him taking his own life. I don't want to get into the details of how he died. In fact, I don't even think they're anywhere on the internet. I know it's been a cloud of mystery for so many Alice Cooper fans how he killed himself. But when I found out, I get chills. And I still get chills. And I still feel guilt. And I don't really know how you get over feeling guilty. Brian was an atheist and always mocked my belief in God. And my religion says that, oh my God, I can't stop. My religion says that if you take your own life, it's a mortal sin. Something you can't be forgiven for. But I hope and pray that God forgives him for that. He couldn't have been in his right mind. Brian wasn't even a drinker. He didn't drink or do drugs. So I think I wanted to do this video because I talked about it, and I kind of wanted to share my story of saying, you know what, suicide is not your fault, and kind of make you guys all feel better if someone's gone through something similar, just to know you're not alone. But through this, I feel, you know, I still feel guilt. So maybe in a sense I was making this video for help. Maybe I'm looking for my own, because I block it out. I blocked him out of my life because I don't like feeling guilt. And the past couple months I've been thinking about him. And I've been feeling the good parts, his positivity and his encouragement. The parts that said, that believed in me, that believed in my music. It's as crazy as that sounds. I always wanted to be a performer, and he knew that. I have an Alice Cooper video of me lip syncing to the song Poison. And Brian gave me that shirt on our first date that I was wearing in it. And he was very encouraging, even from that video. He's like, you need to be making entertainment because you're entertaining. He always believed in that. And I think, like I said, I think I've been thinking about him more so, not just from doing my album and music video, but also the Van Halen. We used to talk about rock all the time. I was 18 and very naive about rock and roll. I really didn't know much. He would make fun of me because I didn't know anyone. I didn't know Guns N' Roses from, you know, Skid Row. I don't know if that's even a good reference, but or a good analogy. I really just didn't know. I just didn't know anything about rock and roll. And so, you know, I've been feeling him more so lately. And when I said the thing about the ghost in my car, you know, sometimes I think, you know, again, I don't believe in ghosts, but sometimes I feel like people who have passed on are with us. I guess the best way I can help you guys, and hopefully in turn you guys can help me, maybe not feeling so much guilt, but the best way I can help you guys, because I couldn't get over it mentally for a good year. But when I went to therapy, I figured, like, I'll share this with you guys because it cost me $30,000 worth of therapy to figure this out, and I'm going to give it to y'all for free. You know, write out your feelings. Write out what you want to say to the person, because a lot of the times when people commit suicide, we are left without any closure. We are left to think, why? What did I do? Did I do something? Or we are left with things we want to tell them. I'm sorry, I love you, all this stuff. And if you can write it down on a piece of paper and get it out there, you're telling them. And I think with that is why I kind of feel him in the same sense, because I did that, I wrote it out, I felt like he knew. I don't really believe in presents, I don't really believe in ghosts, but there has to be something, because I feel it strong now, like I did then when I was writing this out, that it was all okay. I think, again, the guilt that I'm still feeling is lying within me, that I've used people. I've said things to people to string them along, I said untruths to people to get what I want. And I think that guilt will always be in me because I did it to so many people in my life when I was younger. And if you want to believe in karma, whatever, you know, I'm getting it back because, you know, I don't have people I can confide in anymore. I don't have true amigos like that who would drop everything to help you and give anything to help you. And I think it's because I burned too many of those good people bridges for the BBD, the bigger, better deal, thinking something better is coming along. So when you have good and genuine people in your life, cherish them and treasure them. If someone talks about killing themselves, don't laugh it off. Don't tell them to stop saying that. You know, show them love, give them love, and talk to people who are around them. Brian was on tour when he killed himself. I think he was in Russia. I think. You know, I knew the people are around him. I could have reached out, but having said all that, at the end of the day, when someone takes their own lives, it is not your fault at all. Even if you guys had a fight, or if there's something that pushed them over the edge, like, it's still not your fault. we all have conflict, we all have drama, we all have struggles we go through in life, and we have to deal with them and to live through them. That's what life is all about. And you should not feel guilt. And I would say you shouldn't feel sadness, but I think you're always going to feel sadness. You know, there are suicide prevention lines out there that if you call, they can help. Certain lines will send an ambulance to your house so you don't harm yourself. Don't take your own life. Nothing is worth taking your own life in life. I know that people who take their own lives have a chemical imbalance and internal struggle that they just feel like they can't overcome. There are medicines to help, there are people to help. And I feel like this topic just needs to be put out there, that taking your own life is not worth it. But also dealing with people who do, because no matter how many suicide awareness videos we make, people are still going to take their own lives. And it hurts the people who are still living. So if you care about anyone in your life, don't take your own life. And if you don't care about anyone in life, you should care enough about yourself to not take your own life. And for anyone who does, you know that it's not your fault. Again, I don't really know maybe the point of this other than talking it out and sharing my experience with suicide. I've touched on it before very briefly, and it's something that's kind of I wanted to let go. When I wrote down all the letters, I threw them all out. I let them all go. A lot of people burn them to really like get rid of all of it. I guess that's pretty much it. We all have to deal with tragedy in our lives, and it's nobody wants to deal with the tragedy that could be avoided. Again, Brian was an amazing human being. He had a great soul. He had a great job and a great outlook on life, and he was a great friend. And why he did not want to be on this earth anymore, I still kind of really don't know. He was happy to me, around me, and great, and had a good job. He got the Alice Cooper job from being a fan of Alice Cooper when he was like 17, so he had his like dream job. So I hope this video could help in some way, that you're not alone if you're thinking about suicide, and you're not alone if you have to deal with someone who's committed suicide. There's help for both parties. There's help for people, and there's a reason to live, and you have a reason to live, and I hope you guys know that. And when someone else takes their own life, just know you have a reason to live, because I'm not gonna lie, I felt so much guilt that I wanted to take my own life, and that scares the shit out of me that other people would feel that way. So if anything, just know that when someone takes their own life, you have to keep living. And you can't live with guilt and sadness your whole life. You have to think of ways to overcome it. And for me, I just blocked it out. But I'll always remember him, and I'll always love him. And Brian, sometimes I feel your presence with me. If that's a ghost or a presence or what it is, I feel him. And when I did my Van Halen music video, all I did was think about him and how proud he would be of my rock cultureness that have come quite a bit of ways. And he loved Van Halen. He loved them. And thought they were pretty much rock royalty right up there with Alice Cooper. And I definitely agree with him. But anyways, it's kind of nice to remember and not just block him out. It's kind of nice to remember the good things, and that I had a good friend at one point in my life, and hopefully I'll get another one, and hopefully I don't have to live with karma forever. But the point is, I'm living and I'm here, and life has gotten good. It's gotten better, and it will get hard again, but life is very, very beautiful, and it's a great place to be on this earth. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and giving me a purpose, because YouTube is my main purpose. I think you would be shocked to see how many people watch my videos and support me and love me now, because when I did the Alice Cooper poison video, I had like 49 views on it, and he shared it on the Alice Cooper MySpace pages. Crazy. Oh my god, I'm like going crazy. I'm like trying to play with something. Okay. Okay, I love you guys. I'm so sorry this was so long. Share this video with anyone you know that's struggling or going through a hard time with anything in life, whether it's suicide, depression, or any sort of tragedy. Just know that life is beautiful and life is worth living, and just know that you are worth it. And somebody out there loves you. You should love yourself, and if nothing else, know that I love you, because I do. And I love you guys for being here. And I hope you guys have a really great day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. This was a lot harder than I thought.